Most people say they want change, but very few actually want the cost that comes with it. And I think we need to be more honest about that. Change by itself is not the scary part. Loss is the loss of comfort, the loss of an identity you've grown used to, the loss of familiar habits, even when those habits are slowly draining the life out of you. Sometimes it's even the loss of familiar suffering, which I know that sounds dramatic, but you know exactly what I mean. We cling to routines that exhaust us. Why? Because they are known. We stay in cycles we complain about over and over again. Why? Because they are predictable. And then we give it prettier names. We call it patience. We call it timing. We call it self care. But a lot of the time, it's just comfort wearing a mask. Real change always takes something away before it gives anything back. And that's the part no one wants to sign up for. There is always an in between phase where you feel exposed and a little unsteady. And that's usually where people stop, not because they don't want a better outcome, but because they don't want to let go of what feels familiar enough to survive. I want to tell you about someone I worked with last year. VP level, 22 years of experience, impeccable resume. She applied to 47 jobs over 6 months. Yes, 47. And she got nowhere, not even a first round interview. She was doing everything right on paper. She was tailoring her resume, networking, following up. But here's what she wasn't doing. She wasn't visible. There was nothing for anyone to go back. No content, no video, no proof of how she thinks or leads or follows up. Finally, after our first session and out of pure frustration, she posted one video on LinkedIn, 3 minutes, talking about a mistake she made earlier in her career and what it taught her about leadership. That's it. And within a week, a recruiter reached out, not because the video was polished and not because it went viral, because it existed, because for the first time, someone could see her as a person, not just a list of credentials. And today I want to talk to you about the one tool that almost everyone is uncomfortable with, but that is absolutely necessary if you want to stand out right now. If you are looking for a new job, changing companies, repositioning yourself, or starting a business, this is not optional anymore. You have to get on video. And I know just hearing that probably created a reaction in your body. Here is the thing. Between 2020 and 2024, faceless content worked. But now that AI can generate anything, being an actual human is the only edge left. People are craving connections more than ever. They want to know there is a real person behind the message. They want tone, nuance, perspective, energy. AI can produce content, yes, but it cannot replace trust. And trust comes from seeing and hearing another human being. It doesn't matter if you run a brick and mortar business, an online brand, or you are not an entrepreneur at all. In 2026, the human aspect is what is going to make you stand out from the rest. Video builds familiarity. It creates context. It makes you memorable. And in a world where everyone has access to the same tools, the same prompts, and the same information, being recognizable as a real person is the edge. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but Catherine, I'm not starting a business. I have a job. I don't need to do this. And I want to gently challenge that. I coach C suite executives and I have close relationships with people in HR and hiring. And let me tell you something, the hiring landscape is not what it used to be. When a recruiter or hiring manager clicks on your profile and there is no content, there is no context. There is no proof of how you think, no signal of leadership, perspective, or relevance. You are asking to be chosen without giving anyone anything to evaluate beyond their resume. And that used to be enough, but it's not anymore. So the real question becomes, if you are not doing it, what's actually holding you back? You are afraid your peers will judge you. You think you are too old, too established, or somehow not cut out for social media. You believe it. You feel awkward and natural, like you're trying to be someone you're not. And I know because I told myself the exact same things. When I left my senior leadership role in corporate America 6 years ago and I started from scratch, social media absolutely terrified me. Not because I didn't know my work, because visibility forces you to confront your own doubts in public. I remember sitting at my kitchen table with my phone propped up on a stack of books trying to record my first video. I must have started and stopped it maybe 50 times. Yep, my hands were shaking. I kept thinking, who do you think you are, Catherine? Nobody wants to hear these. You sound ridiculous. But here's what I realized that voice wasn't protecting me, it was limiting me. And this is exactly what I meant earlier when I said most people want change, but very few want the cost. The cost here is discomfort. The cost is being seen before you feel ready. The cost is letting go of the version of yourself that stays safe by staying quiet. And here's the truth now is not the time to hide behind, this is just who I am. We're in an era where refusing to engage with the uncomfortable parts of visibility is not going to protect you. It limits you. You don't need to be an expert. I'm not. But you do need to be willing to learn, willing to be imperfect, willing to be visible enough that opportunities can actually find you. You don't need to know everything. You just need to be dangerous enough for the world to know that you are knowledgeable, thoughtful, and relevant. And here's what I want to leave you today, because this matters more than any algorithm tip or content strategy. Awareness without movement keeps you exactly where you are. Insight alone does not change a situation. Friend, action does. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to master social media overnight. And definitely, you don't need permission. But you do need to stop negotiating with the same excuses that have been running your decisions for years and do one thing that puts you back in motion, whether that's recording the video, engaging publicly, or letting yourself be visible enough for opportunity to actually find you. So I will ask you this. At what point do you stop telling yourself you want change while protecting the very comfort that is keeping you stuck? And at what point do you decide that staying invisible is no longer an option if you truly want your situation to shift? Because, friend, whatever your answer is, that's the moment you either stay exactly where you are now or you finally do something different. Before you go, if this episode resonated, you need to be on my email list. Every Wednesday, I send out marketing strategies, mindset shifts, and AI tips you can actually use. No fluff. Head to catherinebeltran.com/move, and I will see you in your inbox this Wednesday. Love the show? Hit subscribe. See you next time.